Trim your look. My name is Jack. Welcome to Tamriel, and more specifically, Skyrim. Today will be a journey to the ends of my sanity and every pixel of space God Howard granted us in the year of our Lord 2011. So I present a question. The first question ever asked in the history of man, woman, and child. If, of course, that man, woman, and child were three brainlets tied to a tree trying their damnedest to escape the ever-encroaching threat of living in Ohio. Can you beat Skyrim with a random mod every death? Rules time. It really is simple, and I feel like I say that every time because it is never simple. Rule 1. Every death means I must roll a wheel of mods, and whatever it lands on, I have to install. So long as they're not manual installation mods or adult mods for obvious reasons, I will install anything at all. Rule 2. No followers, except Dirkethis, and also any mod followers that aren't stripped down to their exquisitely tasteless birthday wardrobes. Rule 3. I am the god of this run, so I can choose whatever painful build I wish to inflict myself with. Stealth Archer, Necromage Vampire, Illusion Master, or Master of the Vegetable Soup. I own the recipes for every one of them, and I will be a picky eater. Rule 4. Legendary difficulty, because pain. Rule 5. Despite what this game might tell you, glitching through the folds of reality in order to achieve all of your grandest dreams is actually a no-no. The same thing can be said for forcing a poor soul to remain on the planet simply because I want a higher conjuration skill. So no hyper-leveling skills thanks to weird glitches. Rule 6. When I reach Silent Hill, where the fog is so thick I cannot even see my own thickness when I turn around, I do not install any more mods. Not because I've run out of mods to install, but because I've likely run out of hair to tear out. Do you hear that? Something smells like it's starting. Almost 11 years, and this intro has still been merged with my brain like some sort of nuclear fusion reaction. My brain could probably power the entire city of Cleveland, Ohio thanks to it. Not that that's an impressive feat, there's like 5 lights on in that city at once. Any more and there'd be a power surge. 24 hours and 7 whiskeys later, it's a wonder I make it through the rumors of elderberries and Rorikstead before excavating my brain through my right ear. I'm right-handed, like a normal person, so I prefer the right ear. Once I reach the Had with the Var, the man named Hadvar McRavda, I finally get to become the ultimate eldritch abomination and morph my very flesh before the eyes of the Imperials. I decide to become a Gigagonian, name myself does not elaborate, and witness the year of our lords 4E201 fall apart before my very eyes. It seems a scaly convention has arrived in Skyrim, and the simple fact that I am currently covered in scales means that I'm ripe for the pickings. Whoever this big black scaly really is must be really into his own fake persona, because he even starts roaring at me. Is this what they meant by Rorikstead? After escaping FurCon 2022, I managed to make my way to SawCon 2022, where instead Hadvar cuts me free of my bindings, and I break through reality. And I just exist as the Imperials do all of the work. According to the totally reliable statistics that I can neither confirm nor deny are absolutely correct, about 5% to 13% of Americans experience arachnophobia. If only that statistic had anything to do with this video, perhaps I could make a funny joke about it. Be careful out there. You never know when a brown recluse is gonna sneak down your blanket and wiggle your balls into submission. As any creature born into this cruel, desolate world of bandits, giants, and the Thalmor could tell you, it is best to start off on familiar footing. Traveling my criminally forgiven ass all the way to some ancient Bjork ruins nets me a sweet fight with That's why the arachnophobia statistic was important. Well, thanks to my super muscular body and innate fear of things walking on 8 legs, I end up killing a dark elf for the crimes he committed against Oklahoma on April 19th, 1995, and steal his latest Comic-Con souvenir. I also find a zombie's diary etched onto stone, which very clearly should have been taken care of better. Speeding along here, now I have to fight a dragon, and I... Let's bring the wheel in for the first death.
Kill all sons of bitches.
Like I was saying, now I have to fight a dragon, and As I was saying, and I hope I don't get rudely interrupted by the Grim Reaper this time, now I have to fight a dragon. And this fight begins my eternal rampage against those who think scalies are a better alternative to furries. I'd rather experience the heat of the sun melt my entire body head to toe for the rest of eternity before I do anything except equate them on the highest part of literally every major weather, major disaster, and spice scales known to man. And I don't mean that nicely. Eventually, I managed to spread enough hate to really activate the dragon's almonds because I once again get my ass kicked. For those of you who are only vaguely listening into those FBI agents enjoying my content as your surveillance targets do, that is 3 deaths so far.
Finally, some good fucking food.
For no particular or specific reason whatsoever, I decide to ignore the distant mating calls of another scaled creature and instead seek out a magic broomstick. I promise you, it is simply coincidence this just so happens to occur after I rolled a Flyable Broomstick mod on the random mod wheel. In my desperate search to find a flying broomstick though, I only find a mad bit witch, who doesn't even think twice before attacking me. It's as if that broomstick is made of diamonds and gold. Well, if it was, I wouldn't even want it because that sounds uncomfortable to sit on. It takes a herd of Imperials to bash her skull in 6 ways from Wednesday, if that even makes sense in a world where Wednesday doesn't exist, and I now have a new flying compatriot that makes horse noises when I initially drop it. Surely that won't mean it'll have horse AI too, right? And so, with my new means of flying so far across the sky's rim that I could be labeled an anti-walking extremist, I head back to speak careless whispers to the dragon that accidentally emoted on Hiroki and Tor instead of finishing off the final guard in the watchtower. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that I'm Dragonborn, let alone tell you twice that I'm Dragonborn. Perhaps even a third time telling you that I'm the Dragonborn is completely unnecessary, so I won't tell you that I am, in fact, the Dragonborn, born of dragons. Off to High Hrothgar I go, and I don't even have to walk this time. It's crazy what random timing does to a man when he's gone stir-crazy trying to fulfill his personal dreams and desires. Good thing I have to speak with the Greybeards who tell me that loneliness and solitude go hand in hand, and if I want to be good at yelling at people, I have to find my inner peace. In my efforts to overcome this inner peace, I seek out outer hostility in the form of doing side quests. A man named Amtrak wants me to find his mother's husband's long sword stolen by a blind man and his two-handed companion. Wow, this sounds like a horrible porno in the making already. However, within this cave, all I meet is death. And as I spin the magical wheel of magical random mods, I have to yassify the Imperial swords. Good thing I'm not going to become an Imperial soldier, right? To a man whose build replaced all of his vitality with an overloaded dose of tenacity, the ritual stone has become my new best friend. In fact, it's the beginning of my addiction to explosions in this run. If by addiction, I mean to say I don't use explosions for a long time after this, until I pretty much only use them. Okay, I pull up. Me and all my BFF AEFTS gangbang the man with the iron hands, and then I abandon them for some money and experience. Do you hear that? The wind is calling my Jurgen. There's a rustling in my loins. It sounds like some sort of mating call, much like that dragon from before. You might think this is the setup to some elaborate joke, but no, it's actually my brain telling me that I'm mentally deficient enough to think that a one-handed build would work for me on Legendary mode. It is not by the skin of my hands that I make it through Ustengrav, but by the skin of so many other resurrected undead hands that are forced into my servitude. Call me China because I'm getting away with severe human rights violations in the modern day. Human rights violations? More like a giant spider violates my body and forces me to roll the random wheel once again. So, after feeling what it's like to get sounded by poison, I decide to say fuck it and sprint my ass through the rest of Florida's only remaining Kmart and pick up the horn that I've been tasked with obtaining. Strange, this horn looks like a piece of paper. Oh,
Don't
shit!
never buy no weed from the gas station, bro.
After subscribing to Delphine's OnlyFans and paying out tens of thousands of dollars on top of that, she finally lets me into her basement. It turns out, despite her top 1% status on OnlyFans, she's just a basement neat like the rest of us. She also gives me her horn, so I'm not sure if those pictures she posted were actually her or not. She spouts on about dragons, and I'm just left here wondering why she hasn't shown me a single inch of her upper left breast skin yet. Such a prude. She tasks me with proving myself by fighting another dragon. All I can hear is the beautiful sound of Billy Mays in my head as I visit Belethor to sell some shit.
It's so tough, if it ever breaks, we'll replace it free.
By the way, this is the only time I'll be mentioning this, as Billy Mays died in 2009, so it's kind of hard to believe that this is actually Billy Mays I'm talking to, and not just a virtual representation through a mod that I installed because of the random mod wheel. All that's left is to fuck up a dragon without even dying once, which is a great accomplishment that is never going to bear fruit ever again soon enough. That's a story for a later date. Now, however, comes the next phase of this horrible experience known as chaos. It is now time to turn my Giga Chad Lizard into an undead Gay Chad Lizard Wizard. Let's process those steps one at a time. First and foremost, I foregore about the peace meeting later on in the main storyline, so it is the perfect moment for me to choose a side and unabashedly remain an extreme centrist in my ever unchanging views of Skyrim. The Nords, kill them all. Everyone else, kill them all. I hate everyone equally, myself included. Kill me too. You'll never guess which part of my undead Gay Chad Lizard Wizard I commit to next. That's right, the wizard part. Except I can't exactly do that effectively given I put so many points into masturbation and whatever sexual innuendo you can make for archery. So right after I decide to become Mr. Wizard, I then decide to say fuck you to the vampires of the world and join up with the Dawn Guard. Izran is going to be so happy, and if by happy I mean upset and angry and betrayed, because I actually intend on another fate. Before I seek out a woman whose name rhymes with Serana, who is also carrying something that rhymes with Elder Scroll, it is party time. I am going to call all of the Thalmor incredibly racist slurs while slaughtering their high order. To them, I am an anarchist without a cause. I simply revel in the destruction of the black-robed non-necromancers. Have you ever been attacked by a dragon during this mission? I'm sure many of you have. I think in all of my years of playing this game though, this is the first time I've ever been drag-bushed by one of those scaly freaks. Doesn't he know I'm on his side? I hate the Thalmor just as much as the next scale does. Well, the dragon kills me, so it's time to roll the wheel.
Hey guys.
Oh, perfect. Now I can shame furries even more by killing all of their most beloved waifus. That Charizard causes me quite an issue, but you want to know what else causes me quite an issue? Summoning things. My favorite bug in Skyrim is where a creature you summon will just not be summoned randomly, but it still consumes the magicka. It is such a handy bug, handy for you guys that is, because it would result in my death, and therefore result in more mods. After the after party is over, I gotta find an old wise dude named Esbern lurking somewhere deep within the sewers. Perhaps I'll find the Ninja Turtles alongside him as well. The worst part about this mission is that I have to go to Riften. Don't get me wrong, Riften looks great, but it's home to some of my least favorite quests ever. But Riften is for later. On to hunting for hot vampire women with voice actors you always know is the same person, therefore breaking the immersion, otherwise known as. Before I even begin to slaughter these vampires, I've decided that I'm going to join the ranks of Nico Lol and Hasanabi and vote for Bernie Sanders. Halfway to meeting my fate, it turns out I have made a severe error in my judgment. Yet, just like a person who intends to vote for Bernie Sanders, I never see my mistakes for what they are and instead blame the world around me. So, time to spin the wheel. I make another severe error in my judgment when I come across a man who goes by Master Vampire. That's kind of a weird name, honestly, but if that's his name, then that's his name. It seems I forgot to record this wheel, so I'll make it up to you by recreating the wheel spin.
The game was rigged from the start.
Now it's time to awaken and return her to her father after a strange mix-up of the classic disappearing father trick. Looks like she forgot to buy the milk though. But for returning his daughter, he offers to make me a stone cold killer, as they say in the streets of Detroit. Not that being in the streets of Detroit is ever a good thing. My goal as killer of the night, hater of the sun, is to level up my Romanian side by stealing the wallets in people's bloodstreams so quickly that they have no idea what even hit them. It appears that this band of bandits that are going to be my victims have Romania-proofed their caves though, because I can neither wander around through the caves in full theft mode, nor can I properly aim my pickpocketing hand to hit their bloodstreams correctly. As a result, I decide to leave. I think that's the smartest decision I made this entire run. The dumbest decision I made this entire run was leaving to go to Riften in search of that old schizophrenic man. Old wise man. One interesting thing I did see was what I like to call the 2022 Miami Crackhead Lizard Beating Ceremony. It did not end well for that poor lizard bastard. Who needs the Dragonborn when you can just have a lizard-hating Riften? One thing Riften also hates are vampire lords, because these sewers are not balding men accessible. And that's a crime, frankly. Look at all that space above my head. Unfortunately, while caged within the unmoving walls of Shit City, I die to a man with fecal matter covering his face. Or maybe that's just a Bethesda beard. I can never really tell the difference. Then I die again to Skyrim's version of Walter White, cooking the finest skooma under the city of Riften.
That's a lot of damage!
Oh boy, well with that I think this run just got a little less damage spongy and a little more spamage dungy. If you know what I'm saying, please let me know. I have no idea what I'm saying. Too bad that despite the new damage tax bracket I've reached thanks to a small loan of 1 million damage, I still get positively negatived by a bald guy. I guess I was wrong about the sewers being balding man accessible. After freeing my fellow NEET and escorting him to meet up with his favorite OnlyFans creator, I listened to the two of them talk about a special place where they can set up a hardcore OnlyFans account together. Listen, I want out of this shit as fast as lizardly possible. I attempt to fight my way through that cave that was not built for Romanians for the second time. Too bad it also wasn't built for lizards because I get, well, you know what I get. I get what I fucking deserve. Then, as if somebody had hit the rewind button, I get what I deserve. Again. May as well just call me Murray at this point.
Sneaky beaky like.
So, maybe I actually do want back into that OnlyFans plan. The Temple Haven of Sky Having above Haven. This is where I get to hear the greatest story of my life.
Here is your pen. This pen goes back to the beginning of time, when Aldrin and Dragon ruled the Skyrim. Here, the humans rebelled against their dragon.
After story time is over, I, in my literature-enriched drunkenness, decide to take on a dragon for some more words of power. Wait, words of power? This is just like my favorite Marvel movie with the Infinity Stones! And just like my favorite Marvel movie, I am a disappointing mess of CGI and shitty writing. Because I die, like the Le Epic Thanos villain. Oh, damn, I won't be using arrows for very much longer, so, remember when I didn't have to walk up to High Hrothgar? Good news then, I forgot about my flyable broomstick during this session, so I used my little stupid legs that carried me from the moment I could walk to the moment I could get imprisoned by the homosexual legionnaires and reach the throat of the world. Damn, so this is what it's like to be in someone's throat.
Come on, shake me like in times, come out and fight me like a man.
In order to fulfill my desires as being the ultimate Dragonborn, I have to do, well, something important known as changing my stats. Despite being ruled by an impeccable draw towards chaos, the one thing I have to do now is forcefully extract the blood from as many unwilling participants as I can. They are known as participants because I'm doing a survey on how many Skyrim citizens exist with HIV/AIDS. I am simply trying to show that Ronald Reagan was a destructive force on not just Earth, but every single simulated existence in the world. This, of course, does not come without its extra steps. That extra step comes in the form of anti-feminism, which is also something Ronald Reagan did. I try my best to bully a group of witches into submission as I do my AIDS survey, and yet they do not care. Then I go. So my escapades continue, sucking the life out of things as much as I can in order to become an even stronger version of the Lord of Vampiric Blood, the sun's biblical variation of Lucifer himself. And just like Lucifer, I get myself smote once again, and Pat Sajak's gleaming smile haunts my everlasting dreams. After I finally power level my undead counterpart, where I'm comfortable remaining, it is that time. What time? Souls time. Solstheim. That was some clever wordplay, wasn't it? I do what any smart tourist in Solstheim would do and sleep until I become a mindless slave. Then I do it again. Then I realize that if I keep doing it, I'm going to become a full-blooded vampire and likely get absolutely decimated. So I just use my flying broom to find the remainder of the stones I need for later. Then, like a magical shouting man flying through the sky, I fly through the sky to Miracle by Cascada's temple. At this point, I've decided that becoming a Sparky McMagic Man is the best way to play the game, and my entire reason for doing this DLC now will prove that just fine. Basically, I just want to get all of my skill points back, so I have to roundhouse kick Mirok so hard that even Chuck Norris jokes couldn't describe just how roundhousey my kicks truly are. But all that comes of this dungeon so far is death and another wheel spin. By the time I reached the end of this massive dungeon where even Chicago would be safer to traverse, I managed to find a book. Well, we definitely aren't in Kansas anymore because Americans don't read. When I do read the book, I realize we're actually in Japan, home of the greatest tentacle wesker porn known to man. Here I meet Bobby Sands, Grand Inquisitor of the Tentacle Porn and Irish National Freedom University. Perhaps I should strive to be like Bobby one day. He seems pretty rad. Another dragon fight is also pretty rad, but as it turns out, Bobby Sands steals my damn dragon soul. What's the word that's opposite of rad? Oh yeah, bad. I hate Bobby Sands now. But at the end of this dungeon, I do get a pretty cool shout. However, I'm sure you could probably guess I will never use this outside of when I absolutely must. Much like the rest of my resources in literally every video game ever. 6 pillars is all I have to take care of now, each one getting me one step closer to being better than Aang in controlling the elements. Unfortunately, I die when a dragon decides this is the best time to ambush me. I've never felt a bad dragon dildo get shoved up my ass before, but this was definitely taking me closer than I ever felt comfortable being. Then the dragon tells me to go fuck myself a second time, and that dildo just keeps inching closer and closer and closer. I'm getting a little nervous now, honestly. It turns out that I actually have to search out these so-called porn books. I personally call them dojins. They have a particularly important piece of written media that I have to use against this so-called Mirok, or Bobby Sands as I know him. I really hate this idea, given that I haven't read a book since high school and I had no intentions of starting anytime soon. One thing I don't have to worry about doing here though is taking a bath in the warm waters of a dwarven ruin. Thank goodness it has been 6 years since I last took a bath and I was not going to start today. All is going well until I get my knees and throat chopped at the same exact time. But this African-American book turns out to actually be another dungeon. Oh, they put a dungeon inside of a dungeon. That is revolutionary. Across the Blackfield Pond, also known as the English Channel, I find out where Margaret Thatcher was hiding all these years. She offers me a word of power so that I can bend the Irish will. Oh, fuck. I think I just aligned myself with Margaret Thatcher. All I have to do is kill the revolutionaries in charge of Irish freedom in the same way that De Beers jewelers killed off revolutionaries attempting to free Africa from the clutches of mining corporations, stripping entire resources from their land. They even killed a Swedish prime minister. So I invite Mrs. Thatcher to the land of not going to ever be free, and she devours the hearts and minds of the least drunk Irishman. Then I read more hentai as he dies before my very eyes. And finally, Bobby Sands is standing before me, ready to die and lose and cry and, cope, seethe, mauled, L ratio, you fell off. Is this meme dead yet? Among Us, sussy, you will never be a dragonborn. Alright, a dodge mod. That'll surely help me survive the next round of fire farts. Well, you know what? I may never see this mod because of my gloves, but at least I got something good from dying to a... No, it's not even that good. This is why I became a vampire lord, so that the Dragonborn DLC would go far smoother than it is going right now. I prepared all of that training for this very moment. Everything building up to fighting Bobby Sands like a pair of badass MFers like we are. I die again. So now it's time to make use of my favorite difficult boss technique, abusing the geometry of the boss fight. Thankfully, using the game against itself proves to be perfect, and it turns out that this was just Bobby Sands' resurrected ghost. So Margaret Thatcher puts him down by tearing out his stomach, which is a very fucked up thing to do, and he starves within seconds. What a horrible fate to go through. You know what, I think I was wrong about joining up with Thatcher the Freedom Snatcher herself, even if I did get a pretty cool shout out of it. I'll have to think about this harder and grieve over my... Ooh, I get his clothes now! After spending my dragon souls to push my knowledge out of Bikini Bottom and to somewhere else, it's over. I am now a wizard lizard. So now it is time to find that Elder Scroll. I never mentioned I had to find an Elder Scroll. You see, the reason I went to the Mages College is so I can get it. Whatever. It's been almost 11 years. You know the story of Skyrim. I already found one of them with that lady named, something with an S? Oh yeah! Speeding through this very simplistic dungeon, I've finally reached Blackreach. I have been awaiting this moment for a long, long time.
Sorry, I don't speak Italian.
Well, my death is no longer a depressing venture into the deepest pits of the void. The cities are going to be a great experience from now on. Remember that one orange orb that you can hit with your super duper epic shout to summon a dragon that is a unique and named enemy? Without even thinking, I sprint all the way to that Falmer destination, no items, fox only 1v1, and shout my diaphragm into pieces so small I could bread them and cook them to have some nice popcorn chicken for a snack later. With the addition of deadly dragons, which makes the game's dragons a little sussy among us, this dragon and his super crazy lay awesome attacks put me in my place. And my place is death. With a dose of dragon slaying, I managed to break into the nerd cave, slot in the cube of finite destiny, and press buttons until things go brr. An ancient dildo now rests within my hands. But before I can use it, I have a third date with that Romania cave. This time though, all goes smoothly, because I am now a full-on undead wizard lizard blood absorbent man thingy, I think. This entire cave's dangers were meant to be braved to kill Kamatu, who is the head of Skyrim tech support. He's been harassing a particular lady, and I promised her I would execute him because I'm a simp. After adding a few more mods to my chaotic repertoire, such as the useless psychedelic bridges mod, and then not another one for an entire hour and a half, I run face first into a frost dragon. I was a little too cocky for the past hour and a half, and thanks to my cockiness, I get spit in the face. So maybe a little help could do. I summon thee, ancient lord Durkethis. Ah, fuck, wait, I think I said it wrong. That's not so bad. I summon thee, true ancient lord King Durkethis the Deadly. Oh, it worked! Now, with a fellow lizard by my side, it is time to fight the black lizard, Alduin, or whatever. What I completely forgot to think about during this fight is deadly dragons, which by and large makes this infinitely harder while on legendary. And now, my brothers and sisters in Christ, it is time for the difficulty slider to be turned to max, because holy fuck, I didn't even get to finish my quip! At least I get to fight on good-looking ice, I guess. I hope I don't slip and fall. Consider me the 101st entry on 100 Dumb Ways to Die. This fight goes about the exact same as it always does. I won't spend too much time on it, but I nabbed the Wabbajack. The reason I won't spend too much time on it is because it doesn't work on Alduin, which I didn't know since this was the first time I was ever stupid enough to try to use it on him. But I die again.
Let's test it out.
And again.
But you have heard of me.
And, a third time.
Check this shit.
Alright. You know what? No, I take it back. That's it. I'm going to get some shit so I can actually beat this MFer. Editor, toss a middle finger emoji at a picture of Alduin. Also, toss a middle finger emoji at a picture of a flying broomstick because the one I have is bugged and keeps crashing my game now. Okay, now that all is said and done, I can finally do what must be done. I pick up the 1000 degree dagger from Bleak Falls Barrow, upgrade it with some fire salts at a forge, then give it to Durkethis. However, when looking at the forge, I realized something very important. I really am an American, and as an American, I have access to guns, so I know exactly what I must do. I forge myself a mysterious Magnum and get ready to show Alduin who the real force of nature is. That is, of course, after some funny Skyrim guard shenanigans, episode 217, this somehow hasn't gotten stale edition. So with Durkethis wielding a knife so hot it could fry an egg, and my hands gripped around the shaft of a Magnum that is rumored to have taken over the wastelands of the west, I force Alduin to land and take aim at him. Remember when the Greybeards told me I must first find my inner peace to properly shout at people and tear them limb from limb? Well, apparently, when it came to Alduin, they meant I should find my inner peace, because as soon as I pull out my gat and shoot Alduin out of fear for my own life, he surrenders. What a dope. So that means Alduin is done in one shot, and I only had to die like 4 or 5 times prior to this moment to realize the mysterious Magnum was to be my best friend. Well, for one fight at least. After traversing through the Civil War and obtaining a dog companion from somewhere, I have no fucking idea, I implore the great Durkethis to let me explore the whole undead Suckaroonie questline. After committing genocide against all of Eastern Europe, I find myself particularly offended by the idea that Eastern Europe successfully could defend itself against me. I get struck by the classic Bulgarian lightning bolt attack and have my hand forced upon the wheel of destiny yet again. The wheel has gifted us quite the prize. This mod is actually one of our saving graces, and while I may have felt cheap using it in the moment, all I gotta say is the wheel gifteth and we use it. But I do have a question for you, just if the name Ion Cannon doesn't delineate what the mod is all about. Have you heard of the Nuremberg trials? No? Well, I can direct you to Google, but if you have, then all I have to say is that what I can do with this mod will let me access the full version of Nuremberg 1.0. The one issue with my ultimate telekinetic power comes with a serious price though. If Jerkeithus is too close, then he will succumb to the power of, well, the giant blue space laser. So I save the power of God for later, but ultimately meet my ends at the hands of Croesus, the wife cucker. It's not that he cucks me, but he cucks wives by fucking their husbands.
Get your fucking dog, bitch! It don't bite. Yes, it do!
So because of what he did, I decide to fuck his husband instead, by ion cannoning that motherfucker from light years away. That is probably the most satisfying thing I can possibly do in this game at the moment, and it's only going to get better. While it isn't important, there is one thing I want to show you that happened to me along the Civil War quest, so just prepare yourself.
I've been looking for you.
After my game crashes a few times during the Civil War timeline, I say fuck this shit and just go about my business collecting all of the Pokemon I need in order to have a peace meeting with the Elite Four. And during this meeting, I say fuck all because I'm bored out of my gazongas. Then Tullius reprimands me, la 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 la, check this shit out. Anyway, I decide to go back to the way of the vampire, aiding and finding her mother. However, as soon as I appear on the streets of Volkihar, I get my shit rocked by a Dawn Guard scout that was just chilling with his astral omniscience. That MFer was waiting for me. The land of video games pre-2016 proves to be a simple area to traverse. Just have to take care of the 3 skeleton nerds using all of my power that I possibly can, and then momentarily banish a dragon that only wants to be loved. Sorry buddy, when I said I hate scalies just as much as I hate furries, I meant everyone, across the board. There are no exceptions, so fuck you either way. Then I just, Oh fuck. Oh shit, I'm sorry. I fell asleep because of how exciting the Dawn Guard DLC was. What happened? What did I miss? Did I miss anything important? To be real, I did manage to die while fighting the twin dragon idiots, thus granting me a new mod apparently. I don't remember, considering I was too excited for the super duper epic conclusion of the greatest DLC known to man. Wow! That 3% to 15% of Americans scared of spiders must really be relieved right about now. The collective 49 million Americans who are scared of watching specific parts of this video can rest easy now after this point. Just don't watch any of the points beforehand. Thank you 3% to 15% of America. I appreciate you. So after however many minutes worth of conversing with myself in order to properly narrate, it is finally time to end this little game. I call out to Odaving, prepare myself to trap him, and experience what it's like to be a hot dog left in the microwave for a little too long.
Fedoras are awesome.
I entrap Odaving by telling him I'm not a cop, since cops can't lie about themselves being cops, and he takes me to the land of make-believe. I will make believe that this place is harder than it looks, because I just decide to hold my way on up to the top of Skuldafn. Okay, fine, I will. I'll go through it normally, but I promise you that nothing interesting happens whatsoever. I just lose my flyable broom as it whinnies and runs off. I thought I was a broom, not a horse, but that's what I get for overestimating horse AI. Once I reach the end of Skuldafn and enter the start of Sovngarde, things get a little crazier. I said in the rules that I won't be randomizing mods when I die in Sovngarde, but I will be doing something a little more than just playing the game normally. So I install a mod that makes Alduin all that much harder, known as Violent Alduin. I have no benchmark for what this might do, so I decide to pop on the legendary difficulty version of him and get to work. Have you ever been to a city known only as the City of Lights? Can you even identify which city is colloquially known as that? Paris? Perhaps Las Vegas? No. I think my City of Lights is actually, Sovngarde. Okay, so maybe legendary difficulty Alduin was a little too much for me, so I'll just go hard mode and then play like that. Admittedly, this fight is still incredibly difficult. for a fucking nerd, I just gotta use my goddamn ion cannon my pappy gave me when I were just a youngin'. It wipes Alduin clean off the map, straight out of Dodge itself, and I realized just how simple this game really is with a giant blue space laser pointing down at whatever creature I want it to. And with that, I successfully beat Skyrim with a randomized mod wheel. There were quite a lot of things that damn near stopped me, from Frostbite Spider Couriers scaring the biblical Red Sea out of my eye sockets, to the game crashing because of some incompatible mods, all the way to Alduin telling me to shut the fuck up at the top of a mountain. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're interested in more content, why not check out these videos here? They're absolutely worth a watch in my humble, totally, completely unbiased opinion. I'd appreciate a like and a subscription too. I'll also take a share, but hey, I can't ask for too much, you know. My name was Jack. It always has been. Always remember, ion cannons will solve all of your problems, no matter how bad they might be. Stay lucky.